It is Friday, April 11th, and the Trump administration moves to cancel millions of Social Security numbers issued to illegals under the Biden administration. The media fuming over this, something that will save taxpayers billions of dollars a year. We're going to show you also Trump's special envoy meeting directly with Vladimir Putin this morning, movement happening in the Ukraine-Russia war, and major changes coming to U.S. voting infrastructure in the coming months. A lot happening, been happening for weeks around voting, happening behind the scenes until yesterday, Congress passing the SAVE Act. We're going to explain why this is such a big deal and more stories as well from around the country. But before we get started, thank you for liking and sharing these videos. It really helps out the channel. And consider subscribing so you don't miss these regular updates. So the Trump administration now moving to cancel over 4 million non-citizen Social Security numbers authorized and issued during the final months of the Biden administration. A huge scandal the corporate media has been silent about, uncovered by DOJ and revealed publicly 2 weeks ago on March 31st. We reported on this then. Musk and his longtime friend revealing this at a Wisconsin rally for the state Supreme Court election. Elon and his advisor, or DOJ advisor, Antonio Gracias, revealing bombshell DOJ findings, shocking numbers that the Biden administration authorized and issued over 4 million migrants real, valid Social Security numbers in the final months of their administration, dishing out socials like candy. Something that would allow these migrants the right to bilk our system, even register to vote in federal elections. Technically, with a social, they could technically do that. Social Security numbers in America are the cornerstone to identifications, how the federal government identifies who you are. All American citizens are issued a Social Security number, but only a very small subset of legal immigrants who meet very specific criteria are issued a Social Security number. Undocumented migrants are not eligible, never issued a Social Security number, except during the last year of the Biden administration. I wonder why. Think about this. Prior to 2024, there were only 270,000 non-citizen Social Security numbers in the entire country. For the entirety of illegal immigration and the existence of the Social Security Administration, there were only 270,000 non-citizen SSNs. Before Joe Biden left office, in less than a year, he had issued over 4 million more. 4 million. 270,000 in 2023. Then by the end of 2024, 4+ million.
Fox to reveal what's really going on. DOJ exposed our immigration asylum disaster. That was the tip of the iceberg. Now here's the story. DOJ has found that immigration gave a work authorization document to illegals just 5 months after they filed for asylum. That document allowed them to work while they waited to hear whether their asylum request had been accepted or denied. So they could work as an illegal, knowing it would take years before their case was heard. The Immigration Department mailed them a Social Security number. No interview, no proof of identity. Just put it in the mail. Here's your number. In 2021, DOJ says 270,000 new aliens were issued Social Security numbers, 590,000 in 2022, 964,000 in 2023, and 2.1 million in 24, right before Biden left office. DOJ also discovered that 1.3 million aliens are now receiving Medicaid. Millions received driver's licenses, some registered to vote, and DOJ says some actually did vote. Try and square that against Democrat claims that Musk is destroying Social Security and cutting Medicaid. He's not destroying. He's weeding out people who don't qualify. Who is really guilty of misinformation in this case? It is not Elon Musk.
It's a scandal of epic proportions, something corporate media should have been furiously reporting on, questioning top officials in the Biden administration to learn why in the world would they have done this. Instead, they're furious at Trump over now canceling them. You can't make this up. Watch what happened on CNN this morning. Watch Stephen Miller flip the script on this CNN anchor who is defending this. Watch.
you mentioned yesterday, and you mentioned again here, illegal immigrants who are getting child tax credits. Are you looking for that information in the IRS data?
Anytime a crime is committed, of course there should be an investigation. Is it your position that if somebody who is
Stephen,
here
are you looking for that
is stealing
information in the
taxpayer
IRS
dollars?
data?
The federal government will find every illegal alien who is stealing American taxpayer dollars. And that is what Americans expect to happen.
Will you find that in the IRS
I don't
data
even
and
fathom
share
the
that with
premise
law
of your
enforcement?
question.
It's a simple question. Will you
Anyone
find that
who is-
information in the IRS data and share that with law enforcement?
If IRS investigators find illegal aliens stealing taxpayer money, of course they'll be referred to ICE. Of course they'll be referred to Homeland Security investigations. Of course it will be. Surely your position is not that we should let illegal aliens steal taxpayer dollars. Again, you want to talk about something to be upset about, that's it. What do you think? The millions of illegal aliens who've also stolen Social Security. Illegal aliens in mass have fake Social Security numbers. They have fake identities. Those are felonies. Why should there be an entire class in this country that is immunized from criminal prosecution and arrest for committing felonies? Felony theft of taxpayer information, felony theft of Social Security, felony theft of identity. These are all crimes. And yes, they will be investigated. Yes, they will be prosecuted. And yes, illegal aliens will be deported. And you know what happens when those deportations occur?
Just very quickly,
is that Americans will get jobs, Americans will get benefits,
child,
Americans will get houses.
Stephen, if they got a credit, a child tax credit, and they will be referred, you're saying, to ICE for that, and you would expect deported for that? Is that the position of the administration?
If it is found that a crime has been committed, they'll be referred. If it justifies the prosecution, they'll be prosecuted. If it justifies a deportation, they will be deported. This will be based on existing IRS protocols and procedures for criminal investigation and fraud.
All right,
the difference is that no one is given immunity anymore. No one is given permission to break the law anymore. Because this is not a country, this is not a sovereign territory, if illegal aliens can freely steal billions, with a B, billions of taxpayer dollars. And I would have to imagine that CNN, which is endlessly talked about the importance of democracy and the rule of law, would say that no class in this country should be above the law, least of all illegal aliens who've trespassed on our territory.
No, Stephen, I'm just asking, I wanted to get your position on some things. We're not taking a position here. We wanted to get some answers to some questions. There are so many questions that need to be answered.
It doesn't sound to me
Miller,
like you are, in fact, indifferent or unbiased on these questions, but thank you.
And this is only one of the actions Trump's doing to clean our system out. There is this huge push happening right now to completely restructure our voting infrastructure and voter security. For weeks, it's been happening behind the scenes. Then yesterday, House Republicans passing the SAVE Act. This is big news. The SAVE Act requires proof of citizenship to vote. The bill passed in Congress yesterday. It's now moving to the Senate, something Democrats fought hard to prevent. They even changed the rules in Congress last week to delay this vote on the SAVE Act. Well, they couldn't delay it any further. They are now on record voting against voter ID in federal elections, something that has broad majority support in this country. Carolyn Levitt this morning setting the record straight on Dems trying to fearmonger about the SAVE Act. Watch what happened at the White House press briefing this morning. Roll the tape.
The new voter ID requirements may inhibit their access to the polls. What assurances can you give women voters in America to ease their concerns?
Sure. Well, the SAVE Act, as you mentioned, was passed by the House yesterday. This is the Safeguard American Voter Eligibility Act. I believe I'm getting that correct. And this act is a common sense measure. It would require proof of citizenship for voting in our elections. The Democrats have been fear-mongering about this bill, have been saying that married women, if their name has changed, they didn't change it on their identification, would not be able to vote. That is complete fallacy. There are outlined in the bill about how to avoid that. The president very much supports a common sense solution to ensuring that only citizens can engage in our elections. This is critical to improving the integrity of our elections and also the trust that American citizens need to have in our electoral process. So the president supports this bill, and that is a myth that has been proven wrong by the text of this bill. And I believe some of the co-sponsors of the bill have been very vocal in addressing that. And certainly I myself, as a married woman, would not stand before this podium if the president did not support such a common sense measure. Thank you.
In another story, China retaliating again today, raising the tariff rate to 125% across the board for all U.S. imports to their country. Finally, after 40 years, we have a president who is standing up to China. Wall Street and D.C. moving heaven and earth this week, pressuring Trump to walk his China strategy back, find an off-ramp to these China tariffs. We currently have 145% tariffs on all Chinese imports, which means China's iced out of the American marketplace, upending the status quo, rocking the boat. The banksters on Wall Street completely perplexed that they're unable to sway Donald Trump. This morning, the Washington Post tried to bait the president, asking him, how much money do Americans have to lose before you admit you're wrong on tariffs? A completely absurd question. Trump saying, no more. I am the chosen one, he said. Someone who has to stand up to China. If it's not me, this problem will never get solved. We're living on borrowed time, he says. Watch.
So somebody had to do it. I am the chosen one. Somebody had to do it. So I'm taking on China. I'm taking on China on trade. And you know what? We're winning. Because we're the piggy bank. We're the one that all these countries, including the European Union, wants to rob and takes advantage of. European Union, $200 billion. China, more than $500 billion. Sorry. I was put here by people. I was put here by people to do a great job. And that's what I'm doing.
And he's right. If it wasn't for Trump, no president would ever voluntarily take this fight on with China. And look, there may be some temporary volatility, but it's completely necessary. Everyone agrees we have to fix this problem, this mess that our politicians spent decades creating. In another story, Trump's special envoy, Steve Witkoff, meeting with Vladimir Putin this morning to discuss next steps in ending the Russia-Ukraine war. Steve Witkoff, whose title is technically Special Envoy for Middle East Affairs, but has been acting as Trump's lead negotiator in the Ukraine-Russia talks, meeting face-to-face with Putin this morning for direct communication with the Kremlin and get the ball rolling again. Trump posting on Truth Social this morning, Russia has to get moving. Too many people are dying, thousands a week in a terrible and senseless war, a war that should have never happened and wouldn't have happened if I were president. Witkoff reportedly delivering the news to Putin personally that Trump's patience is running out. What we're hearing is the trade deals Trump's negotiating include these other countries like the EU, Japan, the UK, to switch and begin buying U.S. energy, oil, and natural gas from the United States, something that would hurt Putin in the long run. Also, look, the price of oil right now hovering around $60 a barrel. Anything below 70 makes it difficult for Putin to continue funding his war. All of this ties together. Trump and his team appear to be playing chess, and I believe they're thinking 3 moves ahead. We'll see what happens in the coming weeks. In another story, the Houthis offering the United States a reciprocal truce, saying we are not at war with the American people. This coming after weeks of non-stop bombing by Trump's Department of Defense, trying to degrade the Iranian proxy and keep maritime navigation open. The United States is the de facto boss of maritime shipping. All other countries rely on the U.S. to keep trade routes open. That's why Trump's forced to do this, and it appears to have worked. A top Houthi official announcing this morning the Houthis are ready to halt all counterattacks on U.S. warships and vessels, but the attacks, they say, on Israeli ships and Israeli territory won't stop until certain Gaza-related conditions are met. Trump writing on Truth Social on March 31st, the choice for the Houthis is clear. Stop shooting at U.S. ships and we'll stop shooting at you. It appears they've gotten the message. Alright, that wraps up this episode. Like, subscribe, we'll see you next time.